These coincidences should not be possible, but they are. History is filled with moments that seem ordinary at first, until you realize how impossibly unlikely they truly were. A single decision, a random encounter, a date that appears again and again. None of it was planned, yet everything aligned perfectly. And once you see the pattern, it's impossible to ignore. Let's start with the first coincidence. The cursed royal wedding. The wedding of Prince Amadeo of Savoy became infamous for non-stop tragedy. It is often called one of the most cursed royal weddings. Disaster began as the procession left the palace. A colonel leading the group collapsed from sunstroke and died. The wedding party continued despite the death. At the palace gates, the gatekeeper was found dead. The ceremony still went ahead as planned. At the train station, the marriage contract officer died of a stroke. Soon after, the station master fell under the bridal carriage and died. The return journey brought even more tragedy. The Count of Castiglione was dragged under a carriage and killed. Several people died with no foul play involved. The wedding is remembered not for love, but for death. The goalkeeper interview. In February 2015, a simple BBC Street interview led to an unforgettable football moment. Reporters were gathering fan memories before the Merseyside Derby. They asked passers-by about the 1967 FA Cup match between Liverpool and Everton. One elderly man calmly said he remembered the game well. He then casually added that he had played in it. The reporter assumed it was a joke at first. The man explained he was Liverpool's goalkeeper in that match. He turned out to be Tommy Lawrence, the real starting keeper in 1967. Lawrence was a First Division champion and European Cup winner. The coincidence stunned everyone involved. Out of all people on the street, they had stopped the actual player. The clip quickly spread across social media. What began as routine content became football history by pure chance. Jackie Chan and 9/11. In the early 2000s, Jackie Chan was attached to a Hollywood film called Nosebleed. The movie cast him as a window cleaner at the World Trade Center. While working high above the city, he would uncover a terrorist plot. Some script versions targeted the Statue of Liberty. Others involved an attack on the Twin Towers themselves. Filming was scheduled for the 11th of September 2001. The location was the actual World Trade Center. Production was delayed because the script was unfinished. As a result, filming was postponed and the crew left. Later that morning, the real terrorist attacks occurred. Jackie Chan later reflected on how close he came to being there. He admitted he might have been killed if filming had begun on time. The canceled movie may have unknowingly saved his life. The two William Wests. On the 1st of May 1903, an African-American man named Will West was arrested for manslaughter. He was sent to the U.S. Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. Officials recorded his photo, features, and detailed body measurements. Clerks soon realized he already seemed to be in the prison records. Another inmate with the same name appeared to match perfectly. The older file showed nearly identical measurements and appearance. The photograph looked almost exactly like the new prisoner. Will West denied ever being imprisoned before. Further investigation revealed the other William West was still alive. He was serving a sentence in the same prison. The two men were brought face to face. They shared the same name, looks, and measurements. The case exposed flaws in identification and pushed fingerprinting forward. King Louis XVI and the number 21. King Louis XVI was warned in his youth to fear the 21st day of each month. An astrologer told him that date would bring disaster. Louis believed the prophecy and avoided decisions on the 21st for years. The fear followed him into adulthood and his reign. In June 1791, the French Revolution was spiraling out of control. Louis decided to flee Paris with his family. Despite his lifelong caution, he chose June 21 for the escape. The royal family was recognized and arrested during the attempt. Their capture effectively sealed Louis's fate. On the 21st of September 1792, the monarchy was officially abolished. France was declared a republic on the same cursed date. Louis lost his crown and political power. Soon after, he was executed, fulfilling the prophecy. Tutankhamun's cursed trumpets. Ancient trumpets from Tutankhamun's tomb are believed by some to be cursed. Major conflicts often followed shortly after the trumpets were played. Howard Carter discovered the trumpets and placed them in the Cairo Museum. They remained silent for 17 years after their discovery. In 1939, the BBC broadcast the sound of one trumpet. The broadcast reached around 150 million listeners worldwide. Months later, World War II began. In 1967, the trumpet was played again in the museum. Days later, the Six-Day War broke out. The trumpet was sounded again in 1990. Soon after, the Gulf War began. In 2011, it was played before the Egyptian Revolution. The trumpets are now sealed and will never be played again. Steve Jobs' biological father. After his adoptive mother died, Steve Jobs searched for his biological family. He successfully found his birth mother and his sister. What he did not know was that he had already met his biological father. For years, Jobs ate at a Syrian restaurant he liked. The restaurant was owned by Abdul Fattah Jandali. Jandali was actually Steve Jobs' biological father. Neither man knew about the connection at the time. They interacted as strangers without realizing the truth. In 2006, Jandali finally learned he was Jobs' father. He chose not to contact Jobs after discovering this. He feared being seen as seeking money or fame. Because of this, they never built a relationship. It remains one of history's most striking near misses. The presidential bloodline. Nearly every U.S. president shares a surprising ancestral link. In 2012, a 12-year-old girl researched her family's French roots. Her curiosity expanded to the family trees of U.S. presidents. She worked with her grandfather, an experienced genealogist. They traced both maternal and paternal presidential lineages. Their research began with George Washington. Washington was found to descend from King John of England. King John was the monarch who signed the Magna Carta. This link was missed because research focused mainly on male lines. Earlier studies connected only 22 presidents to European nobility. Further research revealed nearly all presidents shared the connection. The only exception was Martin van Buren of Dutch ancestry. The White House turned out to have deep medieval roots. Napoleon's coronation balloon. In 1804, Napoleon prepared to crown himself Emperor of France. He commissioned a grand hot air balloon for the coronation. The balloon was designed by famous aeronaut André-Jacques Garnerin. It was decorated with crowns, lights, and imperial symbols. The balloon launched successfully during the celebrations. It drifted away and disappeared from sight without concern. Carried by wind, it traveled an extraordinary distance to Italy. The balloon reached Rome and descended near Lake Bracciano. It struck the tomb of Emperor Nero during its descent. Crown-shaped decorations broke off onto the ancient grave. Napoleon viewed the incident as a bad omen. He resented any symbolic link to the tyrant Nero. Angered, he dismissed Garnerin and avoided balloons thereafter. The unsinkable Stoker. Arthur John Priest became known as the unsinkable Stoker. He survived 4 ship sinkings and 6 major sea accidents. His first disaster occurred on the RMS Asturias during its maiden voyage. The ship collided with another vessel, but Priest survived unharmed. He later served on the RMS Olympic in 1911. The Olympic collided with HMS Hawk and suffered severe damage. Priest escaped safely despite months of repairs. He then worked aboard the RMS Titanic in 1912. After striking an iceberg, Priest escaped from the sinking ship. He survived by jumping into the freezing Atlantic and reaching a lifeboat. During World War I, he survived the sinking of HMS Alcantara. Later, he lived through the sinkings of HMHS Britannic and SS Donegal. After these disasters, Priest retired as one of history's greatest maritime survivors. Call it chance, destiny, or something beyond explanation. These coincidences remind us that history sometimes follows rules we don't yet understand.